Yeah, we're back mga kamama. We're here. I'm here again. Still here. Again with Mary and then we're gonna talk about how to buy a house, your dream house here in Canada. So okay. So there like I made a 4 question here for Mary so they can explain everything about here when it needed to buy a house in Canada. So this is my first question, Mary. What is the minimum down payment I need to buy a house?
Yeah, so if you're buying a house in Canada, you need a minimum of 5% down, okay? There are 2 different types of mortgages we can get, and I have them noted here. There's a high ratio mortgage and a conventional mortgage. A high ratio mortgage is when you have 5% or less than 20% down. So when you get a high ratio mortgage, you actually have to pay an extra fee, and it's called CMHC insurance that you have to pay when you are buying a house. So when you do have that extra charge, that insurance is there to protect the bank because you're putting a smaller amount down to buy a house. Okay, so the bank charges you that insurance. And that insurance charge can be paid in a lump sum when you buy the house, when you're getting your first mortgage, or it can be put into a mortgage altogether. Okay. If you have 20% or more as a down payment, then you don't have to pay that insurance fee. Okay, and we can even look at an example, and we're gonna kind of refer back to this. So this is where we can look for a house here in Canada. It's realtor.ca, and it's a great place if we're starting to consider moving to Canada. This is specifically for Saskatoon because this is where Jerwin and I live. And so if we want to pick on a house, maybe we like this house right here. So we're just going to pick on any one. This one is $599,000, this property here. And what we have in here is we have tools that we can review and see. And in here there is a mortgage calculator. It's called calculators here. And it shows us what we have to pay if we put a down payment on. So in this particular home, $599,900 is the house price. If we put down 5.83%, then that means we have to put down $34,990 to put down on it. And we actually have that insurance fee of $22,000. So in this, and with the less than 20% down, we see that's what you need for a down payment on this property. And we see that there's an insurance charge. Okay, so the mortgage that you would have here in Canada would actually end up to be, after the down payment and adding the insurance charge, would be $587,000. Again, this insurance fee is not to protect you, it's to protect the bank. So if you miss payments and they take over the house, that's to protect them. Now, if we have 20% down, you'll see here that we don't need to pay that insurance fee, right? So that can be something to be aware of. The more money we have down, the less cost of our property will be. So I'm going to just pause it there.
Okay, question number 2. What other costs do I need to know for when buying a house?
Yeah, so other costs you need to be aware of is outside of buying a house, when you first purchase a house, it's really important to get a home inspection.
Yep.
So that home inspection does cost money. And what a home inspector does is they come and take a look at that house before you purchase it. So they will tell you if there's a water leak, if there's a roof needs to be replaced. It's really important that you do a home inspection. So you want to have some money set aside for that inspection. There is also property taxes. And so property taxes, when somebody owns a house before you and you were to buy that house, you will have to pay, you might have to pay like the rest of the year of property taxes. Most times property taxes in Canada, you can pay it on a monthly amount, so you don't have to pay it all in one big shot.
Yeah.
But in some places there might be a place where you have to pay that property tax up front. So you want to be aware of what those property taxes are, okay? Also, when you own a home, other expenses you would have are utility bills. So you have to pay for water and gas, as well as power.
Yeah,
and
power,
so there are different utilities that we have to keep our lights on, to make our stove work, to get heat in the house, and to have the water running. And then also for garbage pickup and things like that. So those are extra expenses there.
Yeah.
And then there's, if we are owning a home, then we have to be prepared for maintenance of that property.
Yeah.
So if the furnace dies, we have to be prepared to have that money saved up so we have that, can have that furnace repaired. Otherwise, we might have to turn to the bank and get a loan, or start to dwindle into our savings that we might not have been prepared for. And then the last thing is furnishings. So, it takes a lot to fill a house when we get started. There's a lot of expenses there to kind of prepare for that. Okay. Now, also, I just want to note that there's different people that are involved when you buy a house. And who's involved is you might want to, and it's a good idea to have a real estate agent.
Yeah.
A real estate agent is somebody that will help you find the house of your dreams, and they will actually be able to do all the negotiation of that cost. They will also be able to tell you the history of that house. If there has been damage to it in the past, or if there's been something that's happened to it, they can look up that history. If you buy a house without a real estate agent, then you might not have all of that information. You'd be having to ask the current owner of what that house is, what it's going to look like. Right?
Then you pay something for a lawyer too, right?
Yeah, so another one is a lawyer. So you have to go through a lawyer when you're purchasing a house to make it all legal, because there's legal contracts that you have to sign. And when you go through a lawyer too, they can check all the paperwork. So one thing that they can check for is the house that you're buying. Are you able to buy that house and buy it free and clear? And what I mean by that is say I'm buying a house from Jerwin, and Jerwin has a mortgage against that house, and I'm buying that house for $200,000, but Jerwin, you owe $300,000. The lawyer wants to make sure that when I buy that house is mine, and you're going to be paying off the difference whatever's outstanding.
Just to make sure it's all clear.
Yeah, to make sure it's completely clear there. And so that if there's any issues too, it's all in legal writing. Yeah.
So I just want to put a little on this question, because I have lots of friends who has buy a house already. So maybe I just ask Mary by her own opinion, like, is it okay to buy a house on the summertime or winter time? What do you think? So Mary will bring her opinion about this one, because some of the people like, oh, you don't need to buy a house on the winter time because there are lots of problems, and then you didn't see what the house looks like when it's summertime. So maybe they can put some opinion about it.
Yeah, so I will say that anytime that you're ready to buy a house, when it's right for you and you are financially prepared to do that, you don't need to worry about whether it's winter or summertime. It's about finding that right house for you. And again, that's why an inspector comes into play, and that's why it's really important to have an inspector, because then they can check that out. And it's their job to make sure the roof does not have a leak, even if there's a pile of snow on top of it. Their job to investigate that. And it's okay to go with your inspector when they are checking out that new house, to make sure you're asking lots of questions and making sure that they're pointing out all of any kind of issues that come up with the property. Wintertime in Canada is very cold. Not everybody wants to move in Canada in the middle of winter, but sometimes, that's when you could find a good deal. Summertime, you usually see more houses listed in summertime because more people are willing to move in Canada then. But I will say I've been here all my life, and I wouldn't say that there's one time that's better than the other. It's really depending on when you're ready, and also finding that home that fits your needs.
So this is my next question here. What happens if I buy a house that I cannot afford?
Yeah, so if you can't afford to pay for your house, and that's something that I'm an expert in at my job. So I deal with people that have financial troubles and they have issues paying their loans. So I help to support them to figure out ways to manage that. If you cannot afford to pay for your house, it's always really important that you talk to your mortgage company and tell them about that situation, and work with that mortgage company to see if there's any payment plans, if maybe you can kind of skip a couple of payments until you get your feet back underneath you. If you've missed many payments on your property, then eventually it goes into what we call foreclosure. And what that means is the bank or the mortgage company you owe the money to will take over that property and they will sell it. And if there's money still owing on that mortgage, then they can come after you for whatever's owed, depending on the province that you're in. Okay, so there are different rules in different provinces. But it's just important that you know that if you cannot maintain your payments to the house, that eventually that can put it into foreclosure. Property taxes can also put a house into foreclosure as well. So it's really important you keep up with your property taxes. Those are just as important as your mortgage payments. So again, why we talk about this is because when we're buying a house, we need to know that there's a lot of expenses that go into buying a property.
Yeah, it's not
And we
easy
wanna make
because
sure that
when
we're
you
safe.
decided to get a house, it's not easy like right away I want to buy a house. No, just think about everything. Like there are lots of bills to pay, you know, and then like a taxes to be paid when you buy your own house.
Yeah. And so there's, and if you have a house or a condo, there can be different things that differentiate it. So if you buy a house that's independent on its own, then you have your mortgage payments, property taxes, utility bills, all the major costs there. If you buy a condo, they also have something called condo fees. And those condo fees are there to maintain the building. So if the roof needs to be repaired or windows need replacing, those condo fees help with that maintenance, or maybe they mow the lawn in front of the place.
Yeah.
And condo fees can add up very quickly. They can range anywhere from $200 to over $800 depending on where you live in Canada. So also important to look at that is their condo fees. And if you own a condo, sometimes there's different rules around if you can have pets there or what that looks like. Whereas if you own your house, not all those rules apply.
And then like you don't need to think about shoveling when you do a condo, like shoveling
condo,
outside.
they usually take care of all of that. That's what the condo fee is for.
But the like for pets, that like what you said, like you cannot bring like only one small pet, like sometimes they ask the weight of the dog.
They have different rules around that. Some do let animals. It just depends on the condo board that they have.
Because usually Canadian here really likes dogs. I've never seen like any people here in Canada like they what else one? They take care of the dog like as a baby. I always love our pets. A lot of people do. That's why I really like having a dog here, because it's part of like treat them like part of family and everything.
It's really like part of our lifestyles.
So what's gonna be the next one? Do you wanna add some more or?
So if somebody is thinking about buying a house in Canada, what I would say is to go on the realtor.ca website, and that gives you an idea of what the houses cost in Canada. It will also tell you like those fees, and so again, I'll go back to that little website that I was on here. And this is that realtor.ca website. So it shows like different types of houses that you can buy, different areas that they're in. And then when you pull up that house, it will tell you, what the down payments are going to be. And you could even put in here like, just different costs involved, what it's going to look like, different houses that you might consider there. So that can give you an idea of where to start, and when you're looking at those houses, what you're interested in, what those costs are going to start off with being. The other website that I think is really important that everyone's just aware of is this Canadian Canada.ca. So it talks about money and finances. So it talks about debt, managing your money, talks about our savings, education funds. There's a lot of financial tools and beautiful things in this website. So you can check that out, learning about taxes, all of the different things you want to learn about money is in here in this website. And then lastly, where I work is called Credit Counseling Society. We have free classes that you can take on demand. And these classes you can sign up for free. And you can learn about budgeting, learning about your credit score in Canada, and learning about fraud and scams, because that's a big thing throughout the world right now. We have little courses that you can take there. And so if you want to learn more about money, take a look at those websites. Jerwin will have those, and we'll post them in the video, I think. Okay. Yeah.
So, yan mga kamamo, thank you so much, Mary, for the information you gave it to me. So, I hope and then I know, mga kamamo, that you've learned a lot from this 2 episodes of my blog. Like, when you plan to get a house, it's like there's a thing you can research, and then you can take a look at it on the website. So, what's gonna be the best plan for you to buy a house. So maraming salamat. Thank you so much, Mary, for this time. Then I hope you enjoyed this video. So please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates of my video. See you mga kamamaw.
Thank you, salamat.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.